y'all, I'm Elisa, the Scrappy wife, and today I have a Bible journal process video for you. I am working through the Remarkably Vivid devotional from Creative Retreat Kits, and today I'm going to be journaling in 1 John 2:15 through 16. So I will definitely link everything that I end up using down below so you can check it out. Otherwise, I'll put you on fast forward. Let's go. All right, so to get started, I am going to use the stamp set and I'm going to use this super cute camera stamp. I feel like I want to stamp this a million times. I love it. It is so adorable. I'm going to use some VersaFine Onyx black ink and I'm going to stamp it over here. Now this is aligned right where the scripture is on the left side of the page, which is on purpose. So my plan is to use some acrylograph pens and to use them to kind of cover up the words that you see on the right. And the way I'm going to do that is I kind of want it to be representative of looking through God's lens, looking through the lens of Christ, which is one of the points that I am taking away from this particular day of the devotional and from this particular part of the devotion in scripture. So I'm going to have these rays kind of coming out of the camera as if they are changing as they're being put through the camera. And that's kind of how I hope that being a follower of Christ changes me, is I want to look at the world through the lens of Christ. I want to see what God sees in that. I want to have the same perspective of love and appreciation for people in this world. I want my heart to break for what breaks Christ's heart. And I think that is something important. I think it can be really easy to be distracted by everything in this world that is fighting for our attention, and that we can start seeing things through the lens of our experience, which is totally natural, in that it takes some discipline to continually align your heart, align your perspective as closely as you can with God's perspective. All right, I have sped this part up a great deal. This is just me coloring in with those acrylograph markers. Again, they have acrylic paint in them, kind of like a paint pen, and they have really great coverage, especially with these darker colors. You'll see in a little bit when I use the yellow that it's a little bit lighter. It takes a few different coats to make sure it's covered really well so that you can't really see the words underneath, but it does eventually work. I love the colors in this kit. I love the idea of these gorgeous colors kind of coming in through the camera, kind of focusing out. I just think it's a fun symbolic kind of visual here. So filling in the yellow, you can see that one didn't cover quite as well, so I just make sure to let it dry and then I'll come back. And I actually hit up a few spots on each of these just to make sure they are dry and that the coverage is as good as I can get. You can see that I was doing every other one just because I wanted to make sure my hand wasn't smearing one that was already wet if I was doing them right next to each other. So filling in a few more spots. Again, this is the part that probably took the longest for this particular entry, just because I wanted to make sure the coverage was as great as I could get. So you could do the same thing with acrylic paint. I usually this is my illuminated journals, so illuminated scripture journals, and sometimes there's writing in the journals and I generally like to cover it up. I use scrapbook paper, I use a variety of things, so it's up to you. Now I'm just coloring in the camera, and now that main part is done. Now here's the scripture that I'm focusing on. It is in 1 John 2:15, and I'm actually doing 15 through 17, and I am bracketing that off, and then you can see I have the focused colors coming in to that scripture. So it says, "Do not love the world or the things in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the desires of the flesh and the desires of the eyes and pride of life, is not from the Father, but is from the world. And the world is passing away along with its desires, but whoever does the will of God abides forever." I think what we are hearing here is not to not love. Obviously, God commands us to love our neighbors, but we're commanded to love in a Christ-like fashion, not to be loving because of what we can gain, not to be loving because we're being tempted by pleasure, but loving because God calls us to love. So that's kind of what I wanted to focus on was this eternal perspective, this idea that this is not my home. This is not the end point. I want to see things as God sees them because God knows that our story is so much bigger than our time here on earth. All right, I'm adding a black outline. If you saw in that pink area, I had some splatter. Again, I'm using the black acrylograph marker here, and I had some splatter, but this is one of the pros of this particular tool is that once it dries, I will be able to go back over that and clean it up, cover it up, clean up those lines. So I'm not too worried about those splatters. I just want to make sure to let it dry first. Here is the first of a couple of coats that I will do to kind of cover up this section and clean up that line just a little bit. So mistakes happen. Every time I Bible journal, there's something that does not go exactly as planned, and you just kind of learn to work with it. You have to know that the process is far more important than the ending product. So I try to be patient. I try to just work around things that don't go as planned and focus on what I'm learning from that passage and not what I'm producing. All right, so I'm covering up a little more of the yellow, and now I'm going to look at the sticker sheet, and I love that the sticker sheet is in all of the different colors, and they almost line up perfectly with the colors that I have here coming out of the camera. And I'm going to add different stickers. I'm trying to make sure that I can write out the full thing that I want to, and it's going to say, "See through the lens of Christ." And I almost have it to where they're all in rainbow order, but of Christ ends up going back to the yellows and oranges, which is totally fine, but you still get that rainbow effect. This also helps to cover up a little bit in that yellow ray of light that wasn't totally covering as well as I wanted to. So I have that title over here. I know that I want to do journaling at the top, and I'm just in love with this little Polaroid that reminds us to look up. Where is our focus? Where is our motivation coming from? And mine is coming from Christ. So I pull out a little piece of scrapbook paper to kind of back up this Polaroid, and that's where I'm going to write the scripture reference. So I stick that on, and then I will just trim it out, lay it on here, and then I'm going to kind of create a cluster. I am just loving this particular stamp set. I think it is super adorable, and these glasses are layerable. They're layered stamps, so you can stamp in one color with the solid piece, and then the outline of the glasses you can stamp over the top of it with black or with another darker color. So I'm going to do some of this yellow Creative Retreat ink. I will link the colors that I used down below, and then that deep dark blue that matches really nicely. So I stamp it. I didn't get it inked up enough, so I come back over the top. I apologize for my head being in the way. And then I'll come again with the blue ink to add another little set of glasses, and all of these will end up being layered with that little Polaroid, which I just think is so fun. All right, cleaning that up, and then I'll get the outline of the glasses, and this is what I'm talking about. You then put the outline on and stamp that in black or a darker color. Like I could have done the blue over the yellow, and that would have also been super cute. But stamping it over, I'm not being really particular that it's right on top and lined up perfectly. Not a big deal to me. This is just kind of forming a background for where I can create this cluster here at the bottom and add kind of my title. So I have the title, Eternal Perspective. I'm going to put this little Polaroid here that says look up. And again, that's where I will add my scripture reference. I'll get some adhesive to put the Polaroid down and then add in the title. And I also find a few other stickers that I can add in just to add a little oomph to this cluster, filling in some different size pieces. I just wanted things of different sizes. So I decided to outline this. You guys know I love to outline the stickers. It is one of my favorite things. I feel like it really makes them nice and bold, especially these that are the white word fetty stickers. So I love, love, love outlining stickers. So adding that, and then I'll come back and complete that cluster over on the bottom left. All right, and to outline over the acrylograph markers, I was just using my Papermate Flare pen. It's very easy to write over the top of these markers. All right, I'm adding a beautiful yellow floral because I felt it needed a little more yellow down there, another set of glasses, and then a couple little wonky heart circles just to bring in all of the colors down here at the bottom. And now it's time to take a look at where I want to do the journaling. Whenever I am planning a page, I always make sure in advance that I am focused on where the journaling is going to go. And in fact, this journaling, I will use the stamp Focus On to set it apart. So I'm inking it up with black ink, and then I'll put it up here at the top. So I have that distinct section set apart for journaling. Cleaning that up, and then I'll come back and add in a few lines that I can journal with after I clean up the yellow one more time. I'm just being very particular to make sure it's covered as well as it possibly can, and it really does have good coverage. I'm really pleased. And again, with the pink, covering it up from that little splatter issue that I had earlier. But I promise, I think that that's the last time I cover that up. That's a lot of coats on that. And the cool thing is, all those coats, it still did not bleed through the other side. All right, pulling out my ruler, then I will add the lines and then a little journaling. And it says, Lord, help me to see this world through your eyes. Give me an eternal perspective as I navigate daily life. I will add that journaling in and the date and scripture reference, and then this page will be done. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe button as well as the bell notification button. I have linked all the supplies I used down below. If you are interested in checking those out, make sure to check the description box. Also, make sure to check out the other videos over here on the Creative Retreat channel. My fellow creative team members are amazing, and you will love to hear their heart and see their art in all of their entries. I hope that you have a fabulous day, and as always, keep it creative.